Hey folks, it's Brian again. Looks like I'm gonna have some time to do a video, maybe even two, to another one today. So this chapter is beasts. Um, and for me, it's counterintuitive that standard living for a free person includes the upkeep of of a mount. So this kind of puts a twist on my perception for Glorantha and the value of mounts and horses, etc. So if you have a free standard of living, that includes the upkeep of a single riding animal. If you have a noble standard of living, you're able to keep a stable of up to 10 average sized beasts. So that's something. Uh, they talk about meat beasts. That goats are considered unclean in Northampton. Interesting tidbit. And even among the poor, you've got rat and rubble runners, for your meat source. Not fun. A bit on aquatic beasts. The interesting thing here is about fish oil and that their bones are used to make glue. Good to know. Section on pack animals, dealing with how much encumbrance they can carry and what their movement rate is. There's a little table on that. There's a mention about how pack animals are unsuitable for combat. Yeah, okay, get that. I mean, even normal riding animals are not suitable for combat, right? But it's interesting. It talks about if one gets attacked, the owner needs to make a herd roll to see if they can actually capture the animal or at least calm it down, right? You make one attempt every 10 minutes, which is you're chasing this thing. And I can almost see that for normal riding animals. I may talk about here, but that's next, right? Riding beasts. That a ride roll is required whenever the animal is spooked, um, or when battle begins, or when you're performing extraordinary activities, right? Is that maintain control of the beast. And then every time the animal takes damage, you need to make a ride roll to keep control of it. It can be spooked by flashy spells or loud sounds, right? Okay, exotic mounts. And I know lots of players are all about exotic mounts. And there's a line here about if you're taking care of an animal that is outside its normal climate, right? The normal environment, you have to pay 1/10 of its cost each year in its food and care. It's above and beyond your standard of living costs that are already incorporated. And there's a whole page, beast prices. You got all kinds of prices for all the different animals and the various categories that they can come in. You know, pack animals, riding beasts, cavalry beasts, war beasts, exotic war beasts. All that stuff's in here, which is cool. And of course, if you're riding an exotic animal, it has a different sort of ride skill. And the saddles for these animals are going to cost more too. And they may actually require special feed. All of the peripheral things you don't think about as an adventurer when you want to get that giant spider beast or something, right? I mentioned something here, but I lost it. Well, anyway, cavalry. So these are cavalry trained mounts, right? Sometimes a specific animal, cannot be trained to be a cavalry animal, right? And that's to do with making riding rolls and the charisma of the trainer versus the animal's power kind of thing, that kind of mechanic going on, right? And then I see it mentioned here offhand, but generally, if you've got a cavalry trained beast, it can handle being in battle. It's trained to be disciplined. for lack of a better word. Whereas if you ride a horse into combat, you're making every round things happen. Although maybe you should make a ride roll to keep control of even a cavalry trained beast that gets hurt. Kind of think about that. War beast. Now this is um, not conflict. This is a misunderstanding perhaps on a lot of players, at least a few that I've run into. The difference between a cavalry trained beast and a war beast, because they want the son of bison to attack and kill while they're fighting from the back, right? It's a cavalry beast, not a war beast. War beasts can. They're trained to attack and to fight and do stuff on their own while maintaining the rider on their back. They can provide a stable platform for fighting, and they use their own bodies as weapons. Of course, that costs a lot of money and time. And there's a table here, a call-out box on training animals. And if during the training process you get a special success, it cuts the time down, and a critical even cuts it down even more. And it talks about training animals, the level of the training, like just a labor, or if you want actual riding animal, cavalry and war beast. I guess that single attack thing. Oh, to teach the animal an attack form also takes time. And then the type of animal that's required for that, and then the cost, all that kind of good stuff. There's a line here about retraining an animal that is not accustomed to a particular race of the rider. Is that even possible? War beasts. They talk about the moose on here and the reindeer, and they even get stats for them. And then they talk about the exotic war beasts, right? And demi birds, a giant praying mantis, giant pteranodons. There we go. That's how you say it. Giant rhino beetle, giant spider, triceratops, tuskers, unicorn, and giant wasps. All these things we've heard about in Gloranthan lore being used as mounts in war beasts, right? But they're culturally tied to certain races, right? The demi-bird, they're used by dragon newts, right? Are you going to get a dragon newt to trade you for getting one of the demi-bird for a war beast kind of thing, or help you train and learn? I don't know. That's long-term kind of stuff. I want to say there's some stuff in there later on about that kind of thing, right? So generally, this is how it is, right? Although I was kind of surprised about ooze riding giant spiders. The giant spiders, they come in 3 sizes. I sure don't see the small, or for that matter, the giant rhino beetle. I mean, they're big, yeah, but are they that big for? Somewhere I read something about three. There's a driver and carry 2 passengers kind of thing. So not sure about that. Okay, riding gear. If you're riding an animal, you need gear for it, right? You got saddle blankets, a bridle. For the big ones, you got that. How you say that? The little carriage thing on top. It's got armored sides, 4 points of armor. Then, if you treat that like a chariot, it covers the abdomen down, which can be very handy when you're fighting creatures. And saddles. Okay, here's a little solid box again on even more exotic beasts, right? Hippogriffins, giant beetles, or giant bees rather, tuskers, demibirds, kind of mentioned earlier, any kind of dinosaur, right? Great hawks, wyverns, the giant praying mantis, lopers, which for the life of me I can't remember, giant spiders, and skybulls. So there's a couple of new stuff they pull out here. These can technically be trained as being a war beast. Well, it's not a beast, cavalry, riding cavalry in war, right? But how do you get one of these things? What are the odds? I can talk about, attaining a fantastic creature of these types is a matter of great significance. I agree, and may require hero questing or perform some great service to those who actually provide those beasts. Got that? My issue, my concern, is we're talking about an adult already trained beast in this kind of case, right? What about raising it from birth, right? I can see adventurers invading a hippogriff nest, right? Stealing some eggs, possibly even giant spiders, definitely wyverns, right? If you find a pair of wyverns in the mountains, you're going to try and track down that nest and get those eggs, you know? So you've got the possibility of raising it yourself. Is that going to require extra skill and special expertise? Absolutely. So there's going to be some survival stuff. But then, how long does it take to grow to being mature? Dogs take apparently 2 years. I thought it was still a year. Cats are like a year. I figured out somewhere else about different kinds of animals because my initial assumption was most animals, pet type animals, are mature in a year. Fully grown, probably not. That takes a couple more, but still, you're raising them, you're training them, you're trying to take care of them. Um, what's the process for that rather than trying to get a full grown one on your own. Trade off for somewhere. And then some of these creatures are intelligent. I think I said simply say hell no. Shoo. Yeah, you never know. And of course, taking them from somebody is going to leave a bad taste in the animal's mouth, right? Stirrups. Never really thought about this because it always seemed to me that the Romans didn't have stirrups, and we're Bronze Age was before that, so I wouldn't expect us to have stirrups at all. But there's a thing on stirrups about allows a rider of the cavalry of a war beast to have a +5 bonus to their ride rolls when trying to maintain control of that mount, which kind of ties back into them taking damage still mean to maintain control. So maybe that's part of it. But there's flip side to that if you fumble on your riding roll, you have to make a jump in order to avoid being dragged, by the stirrup kind of deal. Mobile dwellings, handful of them here, pole shelters, yurts, that kind of stuff. Then you got a call out box on mounted speeds, mount speeds, not mounted speeds, mount speeds. These things, giant beetles, mastodons, triceratops, right? And that ties back directly. That ties back directly because I know you can hear me when I turn my face to wrong side. The bestiary, which has a table on mount speeds just like this, right? So it's talking about the chase mechanic, right? When you're doing a chase mechanic, because in combat they all run basically the same speed. Well, some are a little faster than others, but basically, right? But when you go into a chase, as they give an example, a golden eye is going to run much faster than a bison, long distance in a chase kind of thing. Yeah, great, perfect. I agree completely. And it gives some mechanic bonus things. So you compare the mount speeds between each other, and it gives you a modifier to the ride roll on the chase. Fantastic. And of course, though, they give you down here, and then there's, can this critter be, if it has no rider, it's got a speed modifier. If you're a light cavalry type rider, you get speed modifier. If you're heavy cavalry, then you got a different speed modifier. There's the dash. Dash is not possible. And back here, they had talked about certain animals just can't handle heavy cavalry. Okay, awakened beast, and this had a real live application for me because one of my players has an awakened beast, and he chose an owl. Okay, so do we have stats and rules for owls? No, we don't. So I grabbed my RQ3 stuff and I used the hawk, and used its features for its statistics and for its skills and stuff, right? And this comes out. Sure enough, awakened bird is right on here. And so that ended up changing some stuff on his owl. But then I started looking because I figured, it's probably just size one, right? Um, but all of these awakened animals, they've got 4 sets of different standard characteristics for them, right? Are size two. Size two is between 12 and 24 pounds. That's huge. To me, these kind of creatures should probably just be size 1, but and then it gives rules down here that an awakened animal requires sacrifice of 1 point of power for each point of size. I did not know that before. So if you manage to, and it says kind of limited to no more than size 4. I didn't even look up what size 4 is, but that's got to be really, really big, right? Um, and it says that generally anything above size 2 is rare. I would say anything size 2 or more would be rare, but that's just me. Maybe there are cats out there that are 13 pounds. Well, cat Thor's like 10 pounds, so maybe this the inside edge of size 2. Okay. And there's some discussion about, awakening an animal and how that all interaction works. And you can teach an awakened animal more skill, more magic, and more skills. We teach them magic the same way anybody else learns magic, right? Because they're intelligent, they can speak, they learn stuff. You teach them. Um, there's a little discussion about gaining an awakened animal. So far for us, it's just an initial character creation. One of your magic item is an awakened animal. And they start into the different categories: bird, mammal, lizard, and snake, right? And it says most birds can be awakened, although, and I'm focusing on birds because we've got the owl, right? It says, so although larger hawks, eagles, and vultures cannot be awakened. But further down, they talk about, where'd it go? There was somebody who had a vulture. Oh, Basmoli warlords use hooded vultures to spy out battlefields, feeding their beloved pets on the carnage. But we were told earlier that are there smaller vultures? I thought all vultures were pretty good size. In fact, the largest terrestrial, the largest bird on Earth today, the wandering, I wrote it down, but I didn't. It wasn't an osprey, but the largest bird we have was 13 pounds. I think is what it said. I should have written it down. I meant to. I even took notes on some stuff. Um, so, to me, seems a little inconsistent. Okay, Grazelanders, only women have birds, the men have other animals. In Thai Tech is usually that crows and ravens. Again, crows and ravens, a couple pounds. They're all size 1. And birds have a personality. They're often haughty. Good to go. Awakened mammals, small mammal, up to a meter in length. Is that including tail? Okay. Cats, small dogs, rabbits, rats, mice, and squirrels. Remember that piece. Spider monkeys, that's totally cool. Snow hares and frenella, penguins use marmots and meerkats. Bats are popular in the Lunar Empire. House cats are beloved in Shortland and Sartar. Practicing women favor desert mice. Again, remember that mice word. While men use hunting animals. Dik-diks are prized in northern Pamatella, and that's actually a very small antelope kind of creature. Jerusalem Chisholm, rules, ducks. Duck children often have frogs or toads as teeny swimming companions, and then when they get to be adults, sometimes the companion stays with them. Well, if it's awakened, it probably will, right? That's the difference between having a pet and an awakened companion. Okay, reptiles, lizards, snakes, amphibians. Again, under a meter long. In fact, the small saltwater crocodiles are kept and protected around the Mirror Sea. But yeah, you can have 1 foot, 2 foot, maybe even 3 foot long crocodile kind of things, right? Crocodiles continue to grow as long as they live. Do they just stop growing when they reach that limit? I'm not sure. Marine iguanas and Carflu. Sartar and lunar tarshites have geckos. Snakes are beloved for all Ernaldons everywhere. Then they have this fifth category, teeny animals, right? Size 1 or smaller. Mice, songbirds, shrews, small snakes, frogs, and bats. All the things that were in each of the little categories we were already talking about. So yeah, kind of maybe we should have pulled that out. But a teeny wakened animal, size 1, got it. How many hit points do they have? Well, they only have one hit location because they're teeny, right? How many hit points do they have? One. I go, what? What's up with that? Constitution 1d2 instead of everybody else having a Constitution of 1d3. Now it does keep the awakened animals from having 5 hit points, but still, is it easier to poison teeny animals than it is to poison an awakened bird? I don't know. I don't know. Then they talk about other animals. The A-lynx, the guard beetle, cobras, dogs, monkeys, snakes, exotic birds, songbirds, that kind of thing. But are they available for awakened beasts? They're a separate category from awakened beasts, and maybe it's just animals in general. Here's some information about them: how much they cost, use the bestiary, what's their movement, that kind of stuff. So, an outstanding section here on awakened beasts. Um, kind of question some of the caveats and requirements, but it is what it is. Happy gaming.